So toward the end of the trip, our hostess Phyllis took us to Elmina Castle, which is where about 3 million enslaved Africans were processed before being sent to the New World away from their homes forever. It was a pretty sombering place, and I learned a lot of things there that affected me for the rest of my life. Elmina Castle was the oldest European building in sub-Saharan Africa. There were several dungeons on the main plaza, and one of them had a skull and crossbones on top of it, which to me looked kind of cool and piratey. So I got a picture in front of it, only later to learn that that is where they kept belligerent slaves who, perhaps talked back or spat too close to a European. They would put them in there to kill them by starvation or disease. And that kind of sombering experience reminded me of those Instagram hoes that were, posing in front of Auschwitz and Dachau, totally irreverently, wrong place, wrong time. And I kind of felt like I did the same thing at Elmina Castle. That was really Africa's Holocaust. So the upper level had a chapel and the governor's quarters. The governor's quarters were a really sad story. There was a balcony that overlooked the main plaza, and when he wanted to have sex with one of the slaves, he would order them to like a military style formation and choose his rape victim for that evening, and she or multiple they would be brought up and bathed and perfumed, and he would have his way with them till he got bored of them, and he would send them back down to the dungeons. So the chapel was another really kind of disturbing place. You walked in and it's all damp and moist, and it's, got kind of an awful feeling to it. It's like, how can a house of God be in a facility where humans are processing other humans as slaves? And one of the things that helped drive the point home to me was there was a sign on top of the doorway, and it was in Dutch. And what it translates to in English is, Zion is the Lord's resting place. This is his habitation and everlasting resting place. And to me, I'm thinking, like, how in the hell can, these preachers who are right next to the governor's dorm and can hear him raping the slaves, and who also have a balcony that overlooks the plaza, how can these guys see all these slaves and still feel good about preaching there? And it made me think that humans are just the supreme masters of justification. It seems like humans can really trick themselves into believing whatever they want. So I got out of that chapel, which to me was more moist and awful feeling than even the dungeons on the main plaza. It was a reality check, gut check of the way that humans are able to treat their fellow kin, and it was pretty disheartening. So, I was walking around the outside wall, the perimeter of the castle, and on top of the castle wall that was facing the sea, I looked down and there were skeletons of old ships that used to be used to bring the sea's most nourishing bounty to shore. Between the skeletons of the boats on the seashore there were a bunch of kids playing soccer, and I could hear their laughs above the gently rolling surf, and it was really beautiful, and it made me kind of realize that, this is it. This is why we're doing it, under that, big white tower of oppression, in the shadows of that, right there on the sea coast, these children laughing and playing, and I think that's why the philanthropist sent my mother and I over there. I think that is why my mother chose to go during the Ebola crisis, and that's why my great grandmother decided to also go to the area with the Peace Corps several decades ago. I believe that a children's laughter is something worth saving, and I would encourage all of you OAF Scouts to take a humanitarian trip sometime. It's fun, you learn a lot, and you may find something that you didn't know that you were looking for. So until then, live beautifully, my friends, and I'll see you in the next video.